Hey y'all,
Yeah.
here's another episode of Bonafide Her podcast featuring the one and only Cass Langness. Me, 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 me.
What's up? How are we doing?
You know, we blessed to be alive. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, blessed. Got breath in my lungs, a beating heart. Hey, can't complain. If I had to do any better, I'd be in heaven.
Hey, cheers to the A. Okay, go. That's a great answer. I ain't gonna lie. That's a great point. For real. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we in here. Yeah. So, but let's get it started. So, Cass, can you tell us like your sports journey into how you got to where you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So my sports journey started back when I was in middle school. Well, technically when I was like 7, 8 years old, I played hockey for a season, but that was short lived. Being black and hockey don't mix too well. But in middle school, I started off playing basketball and track, and I fell in love with both sports. Wasn't the best at basketball, but still made a little bit of a career out of it. And then currently, right now, I am striving to be for a pro career in track, and so I'm along that journey right now. But um, sports has taught me a lot, whether it's coaching, whether it's being involved and participating, whether it's being the mental development work. It's taught me a lot, and it's really opened up doors for me that I can open up with my own power.
For sure. Where did you ran for? Who did you run for?
So high school, Ishburn High School, um, and then I went to Bethel University, a school up in Minnesota, D3. So I was there for a year short. Unfortunately, had to cut that short.
I've heard, you know what's crazy? I've heard of Bethel just because I went up to Minnesota like a long, long time ago for like sports ministry stuff. So I was like, oh, so,
Mm.
but from your experience, what would you know? A lot of people like to kind of downplay like that D3, D2, and AIA. What would you say are some of the misconceptions when it comes to competition of D3?
Man, especially in track, that talent is still the same. That's that talent is still the same. It just really depends on specific events, like a 60-meter dash. A good D3 time might be a 6.8, 6.7. But a good D1 time still might be around the same 6.8, 6.7, 6.5, right? But it's really about I think the resources provided, the travel, the recovery. I just believe that in track it's about if you want it or not. If you really want to put in the work, because more often than not, it's the off season work. Really, in any sport, it's what you do in the off season that's going to separate you. But in track, I see the difference not being as much. So it's really, like I said, the resources, um, the treatment, recovery, right, which go along with resources, and then also the travel. You're not, instead of flying cross country, you're really only going 2-3 states away, maybe possibly for a race, if that, or just a state. But the competition, um, and then the three people don't take it as serious. And I believe if you took it a little bit more serious, you would see some changes.
Man, because like usually when you see track, honestly, I mean, this is from outside looking in, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but like for track, like there's only time a lot of people like get into track or see track is like the Olympic times, like the Olympics. Do you hope to see track to be more viewable where like even in college, especially like with the, you know, all the championships and everything, do you hope more viewers will actually pay attention instead of having to say wait till like 4 years to watch track in Olympics?
100%, 100%. I hope it changes here soon. Um, and I believe it's headed in the right direction. I believe Grand Slam launching was huge, regardless of the financial status and how they, do their payments and things of that matter. I believe that it was something that needed to be done because we need more leagues out there. We need more attention out there. We need more of a voice and people who have done the sport. I believe giving back to the sport in a way that's outside of just coaching, because they understand what it's like to not have the visibility. They understand what it's like to not have the popularity. They understand what it's like not to have the notoriety and the attention. And so, what can we do to bring that into us? Because we already know that athletics and the world of track gets views. Like at the Olympics, it gets views. So, what can we do to make sure that it is captured for a full 4 years and not just once every 4 years? And so, I believe open up those different leagues, the partnerships, um, the opportunities, the people in the field of track right now using their voice to be a personality. We got Noah Lyles out here who is carrying right now in the men's, but then there's also, you got Gabby, Anna doing Sports Illustrated shoes. You got all these other athletes doing their thing outside of the track as well, who have had major success on the track. And that only helps the sport grow as well because they're not just succumb to one thing. I'm only a track runner. I'm only going to show people what I do on the track and not outside the track, because that hurts their brand if they don't do that. And so I think it's headed in the right direction, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
For sure. And it's interesting because I've had a lot of track and field athletes on here, like the throwers, the high jumpers, the runners, even that some that do both the cross and the track, which is interesting because, like, you see a lot of the presence on social media with track and field athletes growing with the social media presence, like, being featured for NIL, you know, for you. So you and I noticed too, you are big in advocating for women's sports because I was like, oh, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what inspired you to advocate for women's sports?
They're talent. You women are talented. You're gifted. You're some of the strongest people, and I mean, I believe that the human race, we're all creatures here, but you guys are very, very, very gifted and don't get the respect that you deserve. The amount of things and talents that you can do with your bodies, how you can perform even when it's hard, how you can just keep on getting back up, staying resilient, the confidence. You're talented, and the world deserves to see that. You don't just deserve to be what they want to say. Oh, we'll stay in the kitchen and cook food. Like there's so much more, so much more. If you can shoot, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for women. If you can bring me into this world, what else can you do? And it's not even just in the sports world, right? Because obviously I do work in the sports world and I have a lot of advocacy for these women's sports. But it's also a thing where it comes along like if I can if I can support you in your athletic world, in your athletic career, then I can go on to watch you become the best mother you can possibly be. I can watch you become the best aunt you could possibly be. I can watch you become the best sister, the best daughter you can possibly be, help you do that. And so I'm a big advocate in women's sports because I understand that sports is the avenue for who we want to become and become the best version of ourselves. And I want to support all, and especially right now, women's sports have in the past received the wrong connotation, the disrespect. And I want to be a part of that change to make sure that they get the right respect and that they get the eyes and viewership because they deserve it.
That's real. That's real right there. That's real. My question for you is though is I noticed you do motivated speaking and with so many athletes, you know, what sparked that motivation to be a motivational speaker?
God, God. I never saw myself doing it. I never envisioned myself doing it. I actually hated speaking. I was always one of the most nervous people up there in the presentation in class. I was fidgety, wiping my nose, losing track of where I was at, what I was trying to say. I was awful. I was awful. So don't get me wrong. Like, oh, I always saw myself doing this. No, I think that's one of the coolest things about purpose and walking in purpose and, seeking God and allowing Him to lead your life is that He's going to do some remarkable things with you if you take that leap of faith, right? And so I took that leap of faith. Obviously, it came from an internship at a sports gym, but it's a thing that really allows me to give to this world in a way that best suits me, that I can be familiar with, and obviously push myself, because I'm not just always going to be speaking to athletes, but it helps me push myself and give back to this world in a way that the world has given to me. Because there's been coaches out there who have poured into me because of the culture that they have established in their team. So, how can I help this program and their culture and their players, right? Their athletes, their students, their human beings become the best people they can be.
Mhm. That's real for real. Like I know I was the same way. I don't like group projects. I didn't like speaking in group projects. I was the aloof person. Like just I
Mm-hmm.
would always find a wall to stare. It looks like I'm looking at people, but it's like I promise I'm looking at y'all, but I'm really looking at the wall. I can see y'all, but for peripheral vision,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no. And then the group is it's like you hated those group projects because like you always find yourself doing all the work, and everybody else trying to take credit. It's like, golly, I
Mm-hmm.
might as well done this solo.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, you mentioned you are big in mental health. So as a black man, a coach, an athlete, how important is mental health to you?
It's everything. It's everything. First and foremost, if our heart's not right, we're not going to be right. But secondly, like if we're not right between the ears, we're not going to be able to go out there in this world and really give this world what we have to offer. Um, Take sports out of it, put life into it. And if you're walking around on that street and you're confused, you're not confident, you're wanting to give up at every wrong turn, man, life's gonna be hard. Life's gonna be hard. And I believe in the power of resiliency, uh, the wonders of commitment, and the importance of sacrifice. Right, because resiliency, shaping that and that muscle, the mental fortitude that you develop, really gets you through a lot of things in life, right? Because not everything's going to go our way. It's not supposed to, it's not meant to. If we had no problems in this world, what's the point of life?
Hmm.
What's the point of life? The obstacles, the adversity, the challenges are what makes life meaningful, is what makes life interesting. It's what makes life unique. Overcoming them is an opportunity for us to show people, hey, it's resiliency. This is what resiliency looks like. This is what confidence looks like. This is what having an unwavering spirit looks like. I'm only going to grow because we understand there's trees behind me. There's trees outside your house, outside the school you may be at listening to this podcast on right now. You look left, you look right, outside the car you're driving in right now. There's a tree. Well, guess how that tree got there? It got planted. And I
Hmm.
can guarantee you what? It rained, it stormed, it didn't have to go, it didn't go through the easiest conditions to grow, but it had some conditions that were not favorable to grow. And if you look at life right now, you sow the good seed and you're up here, right? Mentally sowing the good seeds, the good habits, the good thoughts, the affirmations, the positive beliefs, not the negative beliefs and connotations that we put ourselves in at times, right? And so, yeah, it's important. It's huge. It's something that I've been able to cultivate in my life, I think, since early on. I had a childhood and upbringing where I really had no choice but to be resilient. I had no choice because some things were thrown at me with my life story of being adopted and put into foster care. I had no choice but to remain resilient, not give up, be respectful, be grateful for a family welcoming me in, and using that to better, suit who I am up here and here, my heart posture.
So I always wonder, like for me, like I've always wondered why, in ways, is it? I don't want to say difficult, but why is it hard for, say, some men to open up how they feel or open up about mental health? Because I always wonder that, and I always want like the men to know, like it's okay to not be okay, but it's okay to be able to open. Because I mean, in the Bible, the strongest man in the world, Jesus, he even wept, and he was considered the strongest man alive.
Mhm.
So, but I've always wondered, from like your perspective, why do you feel that it's very difficult for men to open up?
Social media, um, I believe that the day and age we live in is different than what it was even 10 years ago, 30 years ago. Um, the lack of, I would say, fathers, um, because what's really taking place in this world is we've replaced authenticity and transparency with a cancel culture and softness. And when you bring in the word softness instead of vulnerability, it shines a different light on it. And at the end of the day, we all have to go through a time where we're going to have to be vulnerable. Um, and as a man, our leadership qualities and traits are shown through vulnerability and transparency, but we're not taught that properly. But we can't be taught something that we haven't seen. I grew up, my adoptive dad, great man, blessed to have him in my life, but I grew up where I was able to see him show his emotions. When he was speaking on something that he was passionate about, there was a teardrop, not a tear of sadness, not a tear of sadness, but I'm sure a tear of gratitude, tear of joy, tear of thankfulness, right? And so I'm a very emotional human being as well. And I'm okay with that because that's part of being a leader. That's a leadership role right there. If your kids never see you cry, what is that portraying about you? That's not portraying, oh, you're strong, you got it all put together. That's saying, no, I'm not comfortable enough around you. And it's not just coming from crying. It's about telling it how it is. Vulnerability is really I like to put it, and I've heard this, and I like the way they put it. Forget who it was from, but actually no, Inky Johnson and his co-host on his podcast. Um, I forget his name. Sure, it'll come to me. But he always says Okafanus. But he always says, be around people you can get naked with.
Hmm.
Be around people you can get naked with. And it's not just your partner, right? But who can you shed those layers of pain with around? Who can you remove everything life has put onto us around? Who can you truly get naked with? That's transparency, that's vulnerability. And that's what is lacking in this world. No one wants to get naked around each other.
Dang, that's real. I remember I've heard of Inky Johnson too.
Yep.
I would see a lot of his stuff being reposted a lot,
Mm-hmm.
especially on Twitter. I still call it Twitter, not
Me
X.
too.
So
Me too. Likewise.
I still call it Twitter because what in the world is X? I don't know. So, but yeah, it's just weird. It's like should have kept the bird symbol and Twitter name. We don't know. So, but my question for you is, if there was a scripture verse that describes your journey so far, what would it be?
Mm, mm. That describes my journey. I like that question. If there's a scripture verse that describes my journey so far, what would it be? I would probably say there's two different ones. I'd probably say the first one is First John 4:19. We love because he first loved us. Obviously it doesn't really portray what I've had to go through, but breaking it down it does, because I'm a man that lives from the heart. I'm a man that wants to love other people authentically. I'm a man that truly tries to portray love, and like they say, I wear it on my sleeve, right? You can see what I exude, the love that I want to give. So that's probably because of my journey, right? I've gotten to a place in life where I've been able to embrace my journey. I've been able to come to terms with what's happened in my past. I've been able to, look excited and be excited for the future. And that's because I love this life and I love other people in this world and I love Christ. So I would probably say that one. If there was something where it was like, oh, how do you overcome that adversity or something, or what got you through? James 1:2-4. Consider our joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, for the testing of your faith goes on to produce perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so you may be complete and mature, not lacking anything. Right? Consider our joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, not just one kind, of many kinds. And so that one has helped me to be able to understand like what this life really is, and um to really lean on God and just smile through it. Right. When I talk to people about adversity, I say smile, man. Smile, because it's not always what happens to you, it's what happens for you. And if it's happening for you to you, then it's probably happening for someone in the future that you can go on and help.
That's real right there. That is real. I haven't heard anybody say 1 John 4:19 in so long. I always hear the James 1:2-4
Mm-hmm.
a lot when it comes to overcoming adversities. And there's so many other verses that talks about overcoming adversities. And it's like they cross reference with one another. So, but folks ain't ready for that conversation. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
they ain't. Mm-mm.
So folks ain't ready for that conversation. So, but I always ask my guests this question. So Bonafide means authentic and unique, but for the men, I always gotta ask about authenticity. Oh my gosh, if I said that right, blessed. Hello. Cause there's certain words, it's like I try to say it right, and then it's like I
Mm-hmm.
stumbled them, and
Mm-hmm.
the syllables, see, not the symbols, syllables, I bloopered on that. This is why my podcast is raw real about it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it. But first of all, I love the expression in the beginning. You're like, I was like, this is a moment right here. I love it. I was like, this is how real it is. It's like, it's all good.
Yeah, because I
But
didn't see you hit. I didn't see you hit play. I was like, oh shoot. I was like, I'm about to say something, and I was like,
it's all good. It's all good. We here for it. So my question for you is, what makes Mr. Cass Langness? Yeah. What makes Mr. Cass? See, I just bloopered that. So, what makes Mr. Cass Langness authentic, and what makes your story stands out?
it's one of one. It's one of one. Um, I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna put myself on a pedestal and saying I'm the most resilient person, I'm the best person, I'm the only person that you need to hear from in life. But what makes me stand out is I'll say how it is. I'll really exude that level of authenticity to a point where it allows you to unconsciously just be authentic as well. Um, there's there's many stories that can be inspiring to people. Many people that you can feel touched by. Many people that you can feel as if you feel just that instant connection to, right? But what truly I believe sets me apart is who I am internally, because God has not given anyone something that He's given me internally, how I live my life, how I do the things that I do, why I walk the way I walk, the way I look, right? I like to say it as this: steal it if you may, because I stole it. But we've all been given a pair of, you know, corrective lenses, glasses, a prescription, right? Prescription. When you go to the eye doctor, they say, "Oh, one or two," and that's how they test you. They look through here. Let me know when it clicks, right? Well, in life, we've all been given a vision as well. Ash, I don't see your vision. You don't quite see my vision, but I can see what you're doing, and you can see what I'm doing. But if you tried putting on my glasses, you might be able to still see, but it's going to be blurry or give you a headache.
Mm.
If I try to put on your glasses, I might still be able to see, but it's either going to give me a headache or get blurry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about my life. It's different than everyone else's. My walk is different than everyone else's. What I carry internally is different than everyone else. There's some similarities, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's different. It's been uniquely given to me, prescribed to me. That's how I would say my authenticity stands out, and why it stands out, how it stands out. Because I embrace it.
That's real right there. Come through with it. Come through. That's real. I ain't never thought of that, but it does make sense. Like, that's real right there. So, but I always give the guests the platform where they can, shout out their Instagrams or social media. So, how and where can the people find you and follow you if there's any upcoming events happening for you, sir?
Yes, yes, yes. If you're a coach, if you're an athletic director, if you're a programmer, if you're a community director, if you are anyone who looks to have service and value provided to them or your culture, your program, your establishment, you can always connect with me on Instagram at Langness. If you are someone who is looking for value, I'd love to provide value to you. Um, whatever event you may have going on, whatever team you may be a part of, whatever culture you're trying to build. If you are looking for someone who wants to help your resiliency be shaped by your team members, program members, whatever it may be, I'm only one click away. If you're a student athlete and you're looking to expand your brand, understand the partnerships, understanding what a brand is, connect with me at BUBEYOU Athletic. It's where we do our NIL, have our agency, where we have our community, where we have our relationship building of student athletes who you can hear from, you can share stories with, you can be inspired by, you can be encouraged by, you can be motivated by, because someone out there is doing better than you. So why can't you do better than them?
Y'all heard it from the man here first. Be sure to follow him at Langness, KazLangness. Okay, I got it right. Woo! Thank you, Jesus. Y'all be sure to follow him and be sure to follow BU Athletic, just like he said, you know. And big shout out to everybody that tuned in to Bonafide Her Podcast, episode 177, featuring Langness. You could check out the live replay after the show as well as on YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.